Test, test, test. Test, test, test. There we go. Okay. All right. I just have to make sure because I don't want to start talking. And then I get into it and I'm like, oh, nobody can hear me. How is everybody this evening? Afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. Oh, hi, Benna. Good to see you. I have an interesting reading. I feel like it tags off of one of the earlier ones. So I think it will be interesting. Anyway, it made me think of some of the other stuff that we had talked about, and it's my only thing. There we go. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like this is the next thing, basically. So here we are, anyway. And etc. and so on and so forth. Yeah, with full moon energy, it's been I feel like I'm getting oh, nice. Yeah, so this is next step then. This is next step. We have full moon energy behind this, so I'm doing this reading tonight because I would normally do like a weekly one on Sunday, but on Sunday I want to focus on the full moon one and do like a little bit more of like an actual full-on discussion about intentions and different methods of that, and then releasing those, and a little bit more of a forecast farther out. I've had a very bizarrely reflective day. I was expecting to have assistance with that, and I didn't need it. It just happened anyway. It's just very reflective, very oddly comforting and helpful in identifying some major insecurities, and I figured out how to articulate them, and I was just like, oh, and then I like figured, I don't know, it was very reflective. The past 2 days have been that way. And I was reading that this full moon was really, really intense for intuition and clarity and kind of receiving and translating messages that are popping up everywhere, and little signs, and starting to, and kind of like learning to be a lot more confident about that, and being like, yes, you do feel that, and that's okay that you feel that. That's not wrong. But also like heeding the, articulation, sometimes the biggest, the hurdle, just getting to the point where you can express yourself adequately, and then to do so without triggering yourself. This is a particularly, we've got a good window here though to do some manifesting. Like we've got some really positive, powerful energy coming forward that's going to be very clearing first, and then help like push forward into the new things. And this reading kind of hits on all of that. It goes through the whole process. It actually explains the hard part too, and says, here's what you're going to go through, and then here's how you get out of it. So I was like, this is actually helpful, because then if you are feeling down later this coming week, as we go through this new moon energy here, you know what's actually going on. Oh, hello, Suburban's leg. How are you? Just discussing this full moon energy, which is a lot of clearing going on, a lot of attempts that were made are starting to be realized why they're probably not good. But also some realization as to some potential good things that are realistic and reasonable, and not bad cycles to continue. Oh, really? Yeah, it's been a bit. I hope you're feeling a little bit more stable now. Probably not yet. Unfortunately, there's a few more days. But that's what tomorrow's stream is about releasing all that stuff that we need to get rid of. So hopefully you can join up. If you can't join up, catch it later. And I'm going to try to do some specific sound wash. I have found some sound washing that I believe is license free. I'm going to give it a shot. And try to incorporate a little bit of that. I have a few instruments that I use, but I haven't yet done it streaming. I feel woefully unprepared, so I'm going to practice some things, and then maybe next cycle we'll use some live instrumentation. But just finally getting comfortable streaming and stuff, so I don't want to and now you're going to play instruments. Whoa. I've got a lot on my plate for the next couple weeks, so because I wanted to do a festival, and but it's coming together smoothly. So yeah, the release will be good. Release is very good. I feel very confident in some of the things that popped up in my mind today. One of the things that I came to realize was that I have been okay. So, and Erica knows exactly what. Yeah, no, yeah, sound wash. It's amazing stuff. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. It's really beautiful sound. So Erica's gonna laugh at me, but my dating site behavior as of probably the last year, if not more, has been really kind of, obscene. It's just been brutal to these men, and any real potentially good, decent man that's mentally stable and can do his own shit, literally not even swiping on them. And I'm like, oh my god, what is wrong with me? Oh, hi, Allie. So I'm just rehashing some of my realizations from earlier today and why I have been in the past, and realizing that I'm actually I think I might be okay soon. I don't know. I think I'm figuring it out. But I like the broken ones. And I figured out why. Yeah, no, that's true. Most of them will just look like they got their own shit. But I'm a fixer. If I'm either the bandage to whatever's wrong in their life, or I'm helping them find the answers to it, and walking them through their life, right? And I came to this realization that I do this with the greatest of intentions, to actually be a supportive person in this person's life. But then when they start doing really well as a result of it, I start getting afraid that they don't need me anymore, and then I sabotage it, and either they leave, or then I have to fix them again. And then I was like, that's why I don't get involved with men that are actually handling their own shit, and I've been so scared of it. And starting to be fixing their marriage, or being the relationship that makes them decide to get their shit together, and now they're ready to settle down. And I realized, but that was what I was doing, was once it got to that point, I started to become insecure about the relationship. Once it became confident and comfortable, that's when I started to think like, oh, okay, now he's gonna, like, he's not getting what he was getting from me before, so now he's gonna go seek that elsewhere. But then, like, that thought process and the behaviors that go with that is subconsciously destroying what you're doing. Because that's just like, yeah, just yeah, no, and this is the thing, but that's why you're choosing these men. Because you know that that's not actually like, but, and then when it doesn't go that way, it's like, oh, okay, well, because you didn't start off with a guy that was emotionally available in the first place. I'm just being real. That's why I was fucking with these dudes on Tinder. I had to get rid of all the dating sites. I got rid of all of them. Because I was just like repeating this cycle of being a bitch to men and then laughing about them. And while this is entertaining, this is not helpful to heal my potential for actually having a relationship that isn't shit. And I would like to have one. There's a lot of shitty ones, but you know what? That's fine. I would rather be single, and now that I understand the standards, I might actually try to go for one that's like decent. Stop going for the shitty ones. That's really what this is. The ones that live together. Yeah, those are my favorites. No, but that's the thing. Those people weren't emotionally available in the first place. I lived with my ex for a while too, and I used to try to pretend I was dating. That wasn't happening. He had an opinion about it, and he was like right there to be a part of it. How can you fucking... You're not emotionally available. It's silly, silly. Oh, thank you for subscribing. Look at it. It blocks my face. I love it, though. Oh, well. Whatever. There's supposed to be a video game here. Can you believe that? People would put a video game. Eventually, I have an artist that is coming up with ideas for me for a new screen, and yay bits, a new frame overlay thing. I was just like, can you just design me like the whole thing on my Stream Elements, please? Okay, I know dudes are shitty. There's a lot of them. But that's the thing, is like, they're just, yeah. You're projecting out and attracting these unavailable men. Because you're not yet available. I believe that for wives to die. Stop doing that to yourself. Get out of that role. You deserve better than that, honestly, though. You know, somebody that actually wants to like emotionally invest in something, but you have to actually take it seriously. I know. I know. Frankly, it's easier to be single, but then I'm like, man. I really enjoy what I have, and I just want somebody to hang out with once in a while, and then like somebody to be like, yay, and like text them or call them and tell them good things and see them every once in a while and have fun. I mean, eventually it'd be nice to travel with somebody or something, but like, yeah. I don't know what I want. I have no idea. I do, but I'm scared to say it. Like 2 nights a week, yeah. I don't know what I want anymore. I think it's changing again, and I'm okay with it because I'm coming to terms with like why I've squallered all this time before in the past. And I'm like, oh wow, you just didn't even give it a real chance, did you? But I mean, obviously in COVID world, I'm not doing any dating or anything, and I'm not using the dating site, so I don't have that option. But that's also part of why I'm taking the time to actually think about these things now, so that when I get out there, I'm like not fucking myself up all the time, being like, oh hey, you're broken, let me fix you, I can fix you, and then you won't need me anymore, so I'll either break you or you'll leave. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so twisted. You are sick bitch. Like, okay, find one that can fix himself, like maybe with some encouragement. That's fine. I love encouragement. Like, I'm a very encouraging person, very supportive, but I want somebody who can do the work themselves. Like, I'm dressed up to sit on Twitch. What am I doing? I don't know. I just feel like I should use my makeup for something, because I spent a lot of money on it. And I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing any Zoom dating though, no. I'm fine for now. I'm just, I like to plan. I like to think ahead. And I'm like, down the road here, I officially hit my 50-pound milestone. It's in the books now. So I'm pretty excited about that. I crossed my legs. And I use the streams as an excuse to wear makeup now. That's but I've been enjoying it, because I was like, oh, like, I forgot that I like makeup. I don't have to wear a lot, but like a little bit. I like to look nice. And I haven't gone anywhere in so long that I forgot that I could do that to my face. And then I think I forgot how to do it. Like, I remember trying and being like, what? I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I had to watch some tutorials again. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I have a whole reading. I have a whole reading to get into. So anyway, we're going to get into this reading now. Yeah, I was really slacking on the self-care. I really was just not caring about what I like. I would just wear a black tank top and black yoga pants every day. To do the thing. There's also some not doing of some things here today. I think there's a lot more than doing the thing. There's also feeling the thing as well. We're gonna do some feeling of the thing. I would like to do more feeling of things, personally. Maybe not exactly how the cards are referring to it. Really, I should just really just make this a Zoom chat. Oh no, feeling the thing. There is a little bit of scariness to it, but there's some really good advice in dealing with that. So I took the blue screen off so I could actually have a card up there. There's a lot of potential in these things. Yeah, I was the only one that prepared myself for this, huh? All right, fair enough. We'll see. Maybe a round table chat another day. Round table. Excuse me. Thank you. I'm very allergified. It's springtime, so it's gross. 10 of Cups. is the Foundation this evening, which is actually a really good card for connecting. The shower. I will be here if you need to go and shower. I will be back. I will be here. Or you can wait till we're done. Either way. This reading will resonate at any point. Because trust me, believe me, I have those days where I wake up and I'm like, how many days have I been wearing this tank top and pair of yoga pants? Has it been like more than 2 days? Because if it has, this is an emergency. I'll usually give myself permission for like 1 day of slack. And then after that, it's like, nope, okay. At the very fucking least, like, get up and clean yourself up. But I always do the basics. It's just the act of actually showering and changing clothes and stuff that I gotta remind myself to do that. And it's not because I don't even like showers. I absolutely love them. I just forget. I lose track of the day. It sounds so lame to say that. People are just like, wow, really? Like, you're just lazy. Like, no, I really just lose track if I don't remind myself. Yeah, see, you have to do it, so there's like a reason to, and right now I don't have that reason to. I get up to take my son, so I have to be like somewhat clean. And it's very likely that I will at least change the clothes, because those I'll notice right away, like, are, not fitting right anymore because they're stretched out. And if I slept in them especially, I'll be like, oh, I gotta change. But I usually don't have time to shower in the morning before I take him to school, so I'll just like throw something on, and then I forget to shower when I get home, and then it'll be like late night. Anyway, I love my shower though. I should take more. I'm gonna start putting it back. I used to put it in my alarm and it worked really well. It would just send me an alarm, tell me to do it. Anyway, the Ten of Cups is about connections and what we're doing. We will be here. The joy of the connections. So it's talking about making some recent connections or revelations about whether it's relationships with family members, friends, or romance, but just any connection or bond that you've there, and starting to realize that these people that you have around you that are important to you for whatever reason are a reflection of some aspect of the self. So you're starting to identify certain characteristics in them, some good and some bad. So this card is talking about these identifications of these particular traits and starting to recognize what these traits might be. It's reminding you to take time to connect with the people that you are close to and that you spend the most time with, so that you can identify these things, because you are influenced by these people by a great deal on a daily basis, so, or as much as you see them, if they're the people you see the most. So take time to connect with them, to become aware of, the energy that they're putting out, making sure that it's an accurate reflection of the self, of what reflects you the best. If it's not, that's gotta go. That's another reading though. This is about acknowledging their presence. Especially if you've just come to realize like what role they really do play, or how important they really are in your life. About identifying that connection and presence and what it actually is. Now sometimes it can be that it's a little bit different than you thought it was, and that's okay. It can change, and it may change again. But for right now, you've come to some realization about this connection and the true feelings between this. So you're looking at these people with fresh eyes. I mean, you're actually looking at them in a different way. You're seeing them differently. You're seeing them for something that you haven't actually looked at and seen them before. Particularly close people to you, but anyone that's influential in your life. So this can apply to. So you're actually kind of feeling a little bit more wanting to be in tune with their stories, wanting to be in tune with the energy that they put out, because you're realizing that that is a reflection of the best parts of yourself that you believe in. Just kind of appreciating the existence, the miracle of their existence, you know, and accepting it for good and for bad. It's not always for positive. Sometimes there's things that you learn that, you know, you grow from as well, but there's always something to be grateful for. And these are the people that, like, yeah, influential in your lives doesn't necessarily mean currently. It can be currently. It can be someone that you're inspired by currently. Just kind of reevaluating the people that you feel that you think of the most. You know, are these people that you're around the most? You exchange a lot of energy with them. These people should be guiding you to, yeah, you can learn some bad stuff from them, but the ones that we're focusing on right now, and the ones that we should be exchanging our energy with, the ones that this card is actually asking you to directly connect with these people that guide you to be a better person, that guide you to be better in your life. These are the people that you want to focus in on and hone in on. You want to reach out and touch them and be touched by them on a regular basis, and not in a necessarily pervy way, but in a true sense of connection and intimacy, where you just need to every once in a while just kind of have that little boop, and then you're like, okay, I'm good. Yeah, this is directly speaking to those positive influences, especially. If you're feeling like there's some particular ones that don't fit into this and they're problematic in some way, it may be pointing to that because of them. So you may have to do some shifting around, because this is that releasing time. And if there's anyone dragging that energy down, cutting the ties are hard. Like, it's painful and difficult to cut ties with people, but it's very necessary at times, and it's really, really freeing when you finally get away from that energy. I thought it would be worse. It's actually really good. So this card is calling on you to take these old patterns and this energy cycles that are convenient and just kind of fit with the narrative, you've just kind of gone along with, and actually transform them into what you want them to look like, and actually kind of craft the legacy in this way by honing in on the energy that you're exchanging on a regular basis. And it doesn't just mean, like, okay, if your major exposure right now is at work, and it's not just like, oh, I can't just get up and change my job. No, but you can focus in and hone in on the aspects of the job and the people there that are the positive influences. And just like in a living situation, if you're in the living situation and you're locked into it, there's different aspects of it that you can hone in on, as opposed to honing in on the constant battle. Try to connect in whatever positive ways you can with the people that inspire you, that are supportive to you, that you love, that you connect with in some way, be it close or far away. Because ultimately that's where our contentedness lies. That's where our, like, we can call it bliss or joy or whatever we want to call it. But ultimately, that's where that lies, is in the connections with the people. So if you don't focus on the connections with the people, if you don't focus on Yeah, it is really, really difficult, but it's ultimately, the bottom line, it always boils down to the connections with the people that you have around you, and they can uplift or hold you down in many ways. So it's a bigger influence than sometimes we want to talk about. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes we just like have to realize that what we thought looked good is no longer what in our best interest, and what maybe we didn't expect is maybe better for us, or it is good in some way. Maybe we should investigate that and be willing to consider what we're doing with that energy. The will position in this reading is the Fool, or the Sacred Clown, in this deck. Um, Really cool messages I'm feeling with this one, because this is really about like laughing at the whole situation, and wanting to be really in control of emotions in that way. But it kind of pokes fun at you a little bit. It Anything that you've been trying to take too seriously, especially yourself, it's gonna poke holes in that. It's because it wants to push you, it wants to challenge you to take risks. It wants you to put yourself into a position that you wouldn't have done before because you were afraid. It wants you to wonder what possibilities are like, and be willing to actually step out on that limb a little bit. Living in the potential itself is really exciting. Really, really exciting to like live in the mindset of potential and what could happen if you just do the thing. I just had to say it though. I wasn't gonna say it like that until it just came out. It's about doing the thing. But isn't it exciting to think about what could happen if you do the thing? You know? There's a freedom in that moment when you realize that you have the opportunity there in front of you and you can actually do it. So, like, that's where the fun is. Because we have like this constant stream of negative thoughts that keeps us down. It keeps us from taking these risks. It keeps us from trying to reach out, from starting a relationship. It will keep you from starting a relationship simply because you will have this stream of negatives about why that's not going to work out, or why that's not going, or why you don't deserve it, or why it's going to turn out bad, or why, there's always a stream of negative, and you have to think about the fact that, and focus on, this is the will position, so this is what you're asking for. It's an answer to what you're asking for. Actually recognizing that stream of thought that's surfacing, that is not you. that's It's not you at all. That's like anxiety. That's the side effect of what we deal with. The real you is who feels the potential when that thought process isn't there. The real you is the one that has the inspiration, that has the ideas, that has the momentum, that wants to do everything and reach out and push beyond and take the risk and experience life to the fullest. The stream of thoughts is not you, but that is what keeps us back. It does tie us down. So the jokester here, the clown, the Fool card, is about tricking you. It's about playing games with you. It wants to trick your brain out of that like monkey mind reaction, because it really wants you to be looking at things new, different. And that doesn't necessarily mean looking at something new or someone new. It means looking at what you have around you with fresh eyes and fresh perspective, and reevaluating what that is, and then being willing to take that leap of faith. Just see if it's worth it. Just see. Because it's that stream of doubt that says all the bad things that's going to happen, like that could happen, that's not the experience. And that's not the experience that you have to have, but that's the experience that you allow to be dictated to you when you don't take the risk, when you don't actually act on what it is that you want. That's actually holding you back. So therefore it's becoming that reaction because that's what's controlling the situation. But you don't have to do that. You can simply Hi, Super Heavy, how are you? Thank you for joining in. I'm just getting started. Well, I'm not getting started. I just finished the second card. Started off with the Ten of Cups, and this is the Sacred Clown or the Fool here. Changed the look so I can put the cards up without a green screen on a different camera. So yeah, we're wanting to take that risk and get out of that repetitive, boring, uninspiring cycle that's just so easy to continue to do. It's not fun though, and it's not satisfying your life, so again, we must do the thing. It's always about doing the thing. Ten of Wands. This is what's coming forward for us. This is a little bit of that heaviness that's going to come from our full moon and what needs to be released. So tomorrow night's stream will be about setting intentions and releasing these burdens. Stupid thing. You have to do the thing. If I patent that and get rich, I'm gonna just pay you a lot of money all the time and be like, thanks, Erica. Thanks for my catchphrase. Do the thing. I'm wonderful, thank you. I'm working my way through these cards and enjoying my evening. Yeah, it's taken. I think so. I'd probably be like, yeah, no. I'll come up with a different one that's close to it. Just give me some time here. Anyway, now we have to fucking deal with this hard ass shit right here. Sorry about my language. The channel is called NikiAnarchy. I hope nobody comes here excited. We got that one too. They probably do. That's like their Wish version. There, you can get Wish Nike. Do the thing. Holy shit. Oh. Just the thought of that's cracking me up. When I post LOL, people are like, oh, people just say that. Like, I actually mean that. No, I cannot move. But yes, no, I understand. Sometimes you just can't, but you know what's really good and very helpful for this? On Amazon, I know it's Amazon, it sucks, but you can buy them anywhere. Just buy some really quality, like quilted, hypoallergenic, natural. I have these plant-based, biodegradable ones. They're baby wipes. So even if, no, it's just like, thanks. I understand, it's difficult. baby wipes was like the thing that I could get me to actually sit up. And I was like, all right, well, that's a step. And then that's as far as I got, but they're convenient to put next to the bed. So if there's a way that we can actually help, yeah, that's pretty much, that's the basis of it. That's the basis of it. Yeah, it's not, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where the person like actually knows how to deal with depression. I've always just been yelled at. Um, so me personally, just having to kind of come up with what worked for me and um, come up with like good enough situations. It was like, here's my bare minimum. This is what I can exert, and then if I can do more than that, then cool. Uh, but then at least I just had like a bare minimum to shoot for that was a lot less strenuous. But ultimately, taking some time to, yeah, at least having support is helpful. It takes time to get adjusted and everything too, and then by the time you get situated, then you realize that you need to make changes or whatever, and then now you've got to make the changes, and that doesn't change how you feel about it in the meantime. You still got to live in it. It's like somebody was telling me, they're like, well, I know what I need to do, but that's not going to make me feel better because I can't do it like immediately and just like alleviate the situation. Like the process getting there is still fucking depressing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I know that's why it's hard. Like, I'm certainly not saying it's easy, you know? Yeah, that's always nice. Like, it's really supportive that he just understands that, like, sometimes being tucked in on the couch is the best you can do. It's just being tucked in on the couch. There's really nothing that no, it really does cross over though, the mental and the physical. You have to kind of try to make steps because it affects itself, and then yeah. I think the important part is that you have the resources and the accessibility to do it yourself, because that's what you have to do. You can't have anybody making you do it anyway. Um, that was never gonna help me. It would have been lovely if somebody would have just been like, oh, I understand, and like left it at that. But um, definitely, just even if somebody hit it, like it. I remember at one point my friend had made a suggestion to me that, like, you know, if you weren't feeling up to a shower, that you could just like get cleaned up and change your clothes, and that would feel good enough for now. And like that was, if that was like the best you could do, that was the best you could do for now, and that's fine. Like that's better than nothing. So good job. And then like she would impress like that, like, hey, even if you just brush your teeth today, if that's the only fucking thing you did, you still did more than somebody else, you know? And, yeah, it's nice to work through that. Oh, so carrying the burdens. Anyway, we're coming into this period of time. Speaking of carrying burdens and feeling the weight of life, and feeling as though we are not necessarily doing our part or what we want to be doing with ourselves. We are being encouraged by this card, this Ten of Wands, to, number one, lighten the load, which means if it's not a priority and it's not necessary, you need to get it out of here, which is important for, like Hallie's talking about, with this struggle to do the, whatever you have the energy to. Focus on just that. Like, that's actually the better way to handle situations sometimes, to actually ditch the stuff that isn't that important ultimately. But it also wants to encourage you to continue to do that next push, that there's a step between you and what it is that you're hoping to accomplish. And in order for that to happen, there's still one more thing or one more step that you need to take. You still need to be pushing past it. And so where you're at right now, this stuck feeling is definitely difficult to overcome in the mind. But the more that you can just putting as much as you can each day into it, eventually it's like a muscle. It gets a little bit stronger, it gets a little bit stronger. So you just do what you can each day, and you just get from day to day. But there has to be some will on your own part to removing the extra burdens and the things that are no longer yours to carry. Because every step of the way, realistically, every step of the way, every single time we have a success, there's going to be another challenge. Every time we have a challenge, we have the opportunity to turn it around into something else. We have to continue though, and when we stop pushing, when we stop actually doing that, we have no more opportunity or potential in front of us, because we have to actually push forward. That change is the only constant. We go from station to station of happiness. So yes, we can enjoy the process of things and from one point to the next. But when we get to that point and we're content, it's fine to stay there for a while. But then when we no longer feel content, when we feel like crap, when we feel that this isn't what we wanted, I don't want to be here anymore, you have to get back on the train. You have to go to the next station. You can't just stay there. As much as you might want to, and it might feel like this is just what I'm going to do right now. This is just all I have right now. And that's the case, and it will happen, and it will happen day after day. But every day you have to kind of fight that negative voice and say, well, okay, we're going to do our best today. And if it doesn't happen today, then maybe it will happen tomorrow, and maybe it will happen the next day. And eventually I'm getting better at trying, and then I feel a little bit better about the fact that I've been consistent about that. And then you start to feel a little bit better about the next thing. It's a lot of pushing, constant pushing. It is being the biggest, meanest personal trainer that exists to yourself, for your own body and mind. And I'm going through a different kind of a test right now, where my test is my resilience and my understanding of my triggers with the dietary needs. And it's a challenge. Every single day it's a challenge. Every single day there's a piece of something that tempts me. It seems easier to just go down the road that I was doing before. And so every single time I get up, it is literally a choice of, I'm getting up right now. Am I going to grab some food that is going to ruin all of my progress, or am I going to walk past it? Every single time I get up, I think about this every single time. This is the worst drug that I've ever tried to conquer because I have to maintain a steady supply of it every day. And there's options everywhere. Even with the allergies, going to the store is a challenge because now I'm finding options that are allergy free. And I go, oh look, here's this bread I can eat, here's these noodles I can eat, here's this rice. It's a challenge, and it's literally the worst addiction I've ever dealt with. And I'm not saying that to diminish. I mean, I was a pill popping addict. I had to get off of morphine too. This is worse because morphine I could get away from, and eventually it wasn't accessible and it wasn't in my system nagging at me, and it left. But with food and in a lot of the same ways with depression, these are things that you encounter and deal with constantly every single day. These are not just, little fragments of life that you can avoid and hop through. This is constant. You can't just check out of life temporarily until all your issues go away, and then check back in and say, well, I feel better now. So I wish we could, because that would be way easier. That would make way more sense too. But the Ten of Wands is telling you to take that challenge on and continue to take that challenge on every single time you're faced with it, because the payoff is worth it. And you're worth it, and it's going to change. It's not going to stay the same. It does not stay this way. And you know that it only stays this way if you leave it that way. So yeah, the not eating thing is a symptom of some of these energy releases that you might be going through, Benna. So a lot of people... oh, I misread what you were saying. I'm talking too, though, with me, with the hormonal stuff, it seems like I want to either stress eat or stress starve. And I want to be able to get to a point where I can enjoy eating socially, but I'm just not at this point right now. I just don't think that I'm ready to do that. I don't know how to do it. I barely learned how to feed myself here. Anyway. The Nine of Swords. Let me just put it here so you can see it. The Nine of Swords, for our choice in potentially what we can be dealing with. It's definitely not allowing yourself to get triggered being the key here. So anything that you're feeling with distress, anything that you're feeling with, you're perceiving danger, anything you're perceiving is difficulty or a challenge that's going to come befall you, it does not want you to ignore your fears. It does not want you to try to suppress them in any way. Instead, it wants you to really kind of grab on to them and analyze them and take a look at what they are. And be like, okay, if I'm stressed about this, why am I stressed about this? We have a lineage of our beliefs. They build from over time. So if you analyze a belief that you have right now and you break it down, they act like vegetables are all of a sudden like made of gold. And to not put black pepper on them, I just asked them to do like 5 hours of labor. I'm like, I just don't put black pepper. That's all. I don't even bother. I'm over it. I cook for myself. When I go out, I can. There's usually like 1 or 2 small things that I'll get that are good for snacking. So I feel like I'm there, but they're very low calorie, like just stuff. So yeah, the real challenge coming up here you are not to try to ignore it, you're to try to figure it out. The Two of Wands is the advice card. This is about the choice, and we talked last night, not last night, when was it? Wednesday night, about the difference between choices and decisions. The choice comes from a place where you have the freedom to actually look at potential and options, and the decision is based on a lineage of events and decisions, and you're just kind of looking in that realm. And so this is talking about looking at a bigger picture beyond that. It wants you to look beyond the realm of what you thought was possible before. You're limiting yourself by not being willing to risk it, by not being willing to look at new perspective, but to scale new heights, because it's easier, that you don't want to do the scary thing. You should be trying to get the best vantage point. What are you trying to accomplish, and why are you afraid of accomplishing it? You're just really limiting yourself. The fear here is about not wanting to be recognized yet, not being ready to be public with it, and that's fine. You're not supposed to be publicly recognizing your moves right now. You're supposed to be keeping your moves a little bit less public. And I've noticed that I feel a lot more confident about my goals and reaching them when I'm not talking about them constantly to everyone, because everybody seems to have opinions about them. And I've noticed that it's just a lot more beneficial for me to work these things out privately. And I'm still working on them. Maybe the thing that you're working on needs a little more research. Maybe your ideas need to be refined. That's fine. You just have to actually work on them. You just can't think about it. You have to actually do the thing. I just say that all the time now. Yeah, no, it's not making moves if you're not talking about making moves on Facebook. If you're not talking about how you and I are made different because I just like to hustle, then you're not doing anything. It's just, people spend so much time talking about what they're doing. I wonder when they have time to do it. I'm just like, man, you spend so much time. But that's why I had to get rid of more social media, get it back off my phone. It's still difficult. I still want to look at and mess with the I'm double tasking here. I shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, yeah, this is the advice here is to look beyond what you thought was possible before. Some new ideas. You're looking at your people around you newly. You're looking at the situation newly. Yeah. Oh no, it's been so good for me to just delete all the stuff. To just get all of it off. And I've been removing myself from groups, and I've been deleting memories, pictures, links, likes, unliking stuff is a big one. Cleaning out just everything. Every day I do a little bit. Every day I do a little bit of decreasing my footprint on the internet. And it's been really therapeutic because I'm working my way backwards through it, and it's really thorough, and it just feels like I'm scaling back that presence, and I feel more in control of it now, and I feel less influenced by other people. I'm just doing it the way I want to do it, and that's it. That's the end of it. I'm going to be on the sites that I think are right. I'm going to work them the way that I think that's right, which mostly does not involve Facebook, because Facebook is worthless. Instagram and Twitter have been where I spend most of my time, so if anyone happens to pop in here and is wondering, you can follow my astralhealingNiki. It's linked under my little camera thing. It's one of those guys. It's ASTRAL healing Niki, NikiAnarchy. that is my, yeah, you have to do a lot of muting of people. That's a good one too. Muting of people, just generally getting them out of your vision and out of your line of hearing. Um, these people are detrimental, and that's what this whole frickin' thing is about. So my phone, my phone just put me into bedtime mode. That's so cute. Because I was like, it went black and gray. Um, I I set a bedtime mode on my phone, so from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., everything's grayed out and I don't get notifications. I'll only get phone calls if they come through, and it's really beneficial to getting a better night's sleep for me, to not hear my phone buzzing and dinging and whatever else. I'm less inclined to look at it, and then removing Facebook particular, and their business manager is garbage, absolute trash. It's one like I post. I'm so irritated with them. I don't even have anything nice to say about Facebook, like at all. I will just say that. Yeah, turning off all the notifications in general is a really good idea. Yeah, I did a lot of those. My Twitter, I did that so that I only get notifications from the people I need to know what they're saying. And then my Instagram it's only when I get messages. Yeah, and Hallie, that's like why it's we get this like dependency on that immediate microwave approval, and so we seek it out, and the only way to break yourself from it is to actually like stop it. For like, you have to get away from it a lot and go like experience life, and then you become less interested in what anyone sees. Like, you don't even care if they see it anymore. You don't even post it. You just like stop posting shit. Like, every once in a while I'll get bored, and once I notice myself, if I post like more than twice in a day, now I know I'm bored, and I'm like, oh no, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. Yeah, you get a dopamine rush with the reactions, and you want to see like Hugh. I don't really have my queue working, but hello and welcome. And, so if you can, yeah, I don't post hardly at all. I just post my promo stuff, and that's pretty much everything else I just delete. If I post it, I'll go back and delete it at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't need to be there later. If you would like some cards drawn, I'm still working my way through my oracle cards, and I keep getting sidetracked and talking. But let me get through these, and I can draw a few cards if you would like a few drawn. Just say yes, and I will do a few for you. And you just need to think in your mind about what it is you want the cards drawn for. So, oracle cards, to follow up with the reading, because I drew some oracle cards. Visionary, big picture thinking. We just talked about that. Cow spirit, the miracles are endless. Putting limitations on yourself isn't helping you at all. Seeing potential, bring consciousness to light. You see in the theme here? You're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself because you're allowing that stream of fear and anxiety of what could go wrong, or what could work out, or what wouldn't work out, or what might happen. You're identifying with that instead of the potential that you could have here. You're not giving yourself a chance to shine. You're just immediately going into the it probably will. And you make sure you tell them first. They like that. I like the ones that comment on those posts to tell you like they're not more high and mighty for doing that. That's just so rude. It's like, yeah, I know they're gonna tell me, okay, fine, I'm not gonna say anything. Yeah, I just disappear and no one notices. Eric knows about that. Disappearing on Facebook and nobody noticing. I notice, I just forget to say shit. Use your mind wisely. This one, to add to our reading earlier, it doesn't do you any good if you learn your lesson from stuff and you don't actually apply it because you're a chicken butt. So, what are you doing? Why are you not actually using this information that you have learned? Because it's easier. Because it's just easier. It's more secure. You don't have to risk like not being. You're very comfortable with being the big fish in a small tank, and this is asking you to go be a very small fish in a very big tank. This is changing your perspective. So yes, it's scary, and you're gonna have to not be maybe the best for a minute. And I'm talking to myself right now too. So, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, because you have to do it to get really good at it anyway. And the last one, know your worth, the skunk spirit. We each have our own unique skills and gifts and purpose. And if we are not identifying and utilizing them, there is absolutely nobody else who's going to do it for you. If you don't identify your worth and ask for what you're worth, you don't get it from anybody else. It starts with you. So you have to start the process of allowing yourself to see a potentially better situation than you even thought could be possible. Dream a little bit bigger. Get outside of that "this is the best it could be" idea. That mindset is stifling. And you're not able to see potential and opportunities in other things because you're limiting yourself. So. Anyway, that's the reading. Quit being a chicken butt and do the thing. But that really is, like, that's our biggest thing that keeps us from accomplishing everything that we want to accomplish. It's just simply that we are afraid of not being the best. And so therefore we just don't do it. Well, you're definitely not the best when you don't do it. You didn't even do it. So how can you be the best? So once again, Erica is correct. Do the thing. But at any rate, so yeah, tomorrow evening I'm going to do a full moon reading. The full moon reading is going to be a little bit more about the full cycle, so that we can work our way from the full to the new moon and back to the next full, and really take advantage of as much of that energy as we can. There's sometimes the thing is waiting. Yeah, you don't want to push the things beyond. Oh yeah, that was the Two of Wands. Remember, the advice card was about waiting for the perfect moment. You're drafting the future, and so you might need to do a little more research. You might need to wait a little minute, but you're actually creating that moment, and so take the moment to craft it the way you want to. Do the thing, but do it right. Do it well. Do it to your best ability. Don't inhibit yourself. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't limit yourself either. Do it good. But perfection isn't necessary, either. That was what was really holding me up from doing a lot of stuff, was simply I like this camera. I'm like, oh, I can shuffle here. I can actually just shuffle. This is nice. So I can do a few draws if anybody's looking for a few draws. Yellow Wolf. Oh. I believe it was Yellow Wolf's song where he sang, I am living like a shark in a fish tank. So perhaps the push-em is once you have grown to that part in the tank and you are ready to get out of that tank, that's the time. Don't hang out in that fish tank for too long. So yeah. Anybody would like a few cards drawn, give me a holla in the chat there. I will figure out the fancy things with the Q. I will figure that out. Sharks. I'm the shark. You're the shark. We're the sharks. We are the sharks in this situation. Making goals happen requires a little bit of direct determination. I just dropped a card, now I have to read it. Oh, this is a good one. The abundant universe will provide. So this is, this might be helpful for you, Hallie, because when we think about abundance, you know, people think instantly we're talking about like just material things. And abundance can be relative to the experience. So you can be abundant in time. You can feel abundant in energy. And when we're not feeling abundant and we're feeling very depleted, it's very easy to get into that don't have enough mentality. And so the problem comes in with the expectations. If we have these expectations for ourselves, then we're gonna not have enough, right? But if we don't have the expectations, if we don't box in what that looks like, we can determine each time for each situation what the abundance looks like. So say if today or tomorrow you wake up and you accomplish one thing, right? You do a school thing or something, or straighten up a corner of the living room. You had an abundant amount of energy that day to accomplish exactly what you needed to accomplish. And so instead of beating up on yourself, or instead of anyone beating up on themselves thinking that they cannot accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, when you're thinking about limitations, you're not having that abundance mindset. You're telling yourself you don't have enough, you didn't do enough, you aren't enough. That's a limitation. That's a restriction in what you're doing. Instead, I did enough today. I'm gonna get enough sleep tonight, and tomorrow I'm gonna do enough too. And whatever it is that you accomplish, that was enough. And so then you're kind of lifting these expectations, which results in disappointment if you don't make it. And then it's a little bit more freeing, it's a little bit lighter. And that's where the abundance feeling comes in, because now you don't have the pressure to perform. Now you're not having these like, yeah, exactly, getting out of the failure mindset. You've already done enough just by starting. And thank yourself for that. I started. Like, I was struggling to get back into reading. This is something that I have been struggling with for like the last 6-7 years. I just haven't found myself able to focus, and even with adjustments to my medications, it still just wasn't happening. And I started to realize that I was just immediately like going into this with I can't focus on reading. I can't focus on this book. I'm only going to get 5 minutes into this. And that's instantly what was happening. It's because I didn't go into that with the abundance mindset. I went into that with a very limiting mindset. That is exactly what was going to happen, and that's what happened. So I started to take a different approach, where I started to say, whatever amount of reading I get done today was exactly the right amount. That was just perfect. And so the first day, I literally just got through like the preface. That was it. And I was like, good job, you got through the preface. Now when you sit down and try again, you can start on chapter 1. And so I started on chapter 1, and I never gave myself any kind of a deadline. It wasn't like it's instantly like, sometimes you don't even know what that limitation is. You just know there's gonna be one. Like, I just know that this is gonna happen. And it's like, I didn't need to set an expectation on myself for that thing to begin with. That didn't matter. It was just my personal wanting to do something, and I'm still setting limitations on myself. We do this because it's that little train of doubt, fear, and anxiety that comes through. Yeah, it's daily, it's constant for some people. You are not that train of thought. That's not you. That's what's trying to derail you. You are the brilliantly free, creative creature who has all these ideas before that train comes in and starts messing with you. You're the one that had all the ideas before, and the energy and the inspiration to do what you wanted to do. So identify with that person and talk to that person when you're starting to move forward in whatever it is, at whatever pace you're at, wherever you are, whether it has to do with getting off the couch, or getting to your adding a next zero to whatever you make each year to alleviate your financial worries, or if you're just trying to get into a different situation for yourself in some other aspect of life. Start with the potential and living in the potential of whatever happens is gonna be a good try for me. It's gonna be a good start. I don't know what that's gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna finish a whole chapter the next time I sit down and read. But I do know that every time I sit down and read, I read a little bit. And every time I get a little bit of it read, I feel really good about that. Because even if I didn't finish that chapter, I still know I did something. And because I didn't immediately tell myself I had to do so much of it, I was just happy with that, what I accomplished. And that's where I started to feel a lot more secure about sitting down to read. And now I actually am finding myself grabbing the book and reading even when I only have 15 minutes, because I'm giving myself no obligations. I don't have to read anything in 15 minutes. I don't have to finish it in 15 minutes. I'm just giving myself 15 minutes to read. I'm just going to do it for 15 minutes. And whatever comes from that, comes from that. And it's taken a lot of stress off of me for the act. It's given me a lot more confidence in my ability to focus on reading again. And then as I'm getting through the process, I'm realizing that I'm getting more and more and more each time. Now I am getting through a chapter when I sit down. Now I am getting through sometimes 2 chapters. And I haven't read 2 chapters in one sitting in, like I said, 6-7 years. But I was immediately diving into trying to I can't sit down and read because I can't sit down and read like how I used to. Well, why did I need to put those expectations on myself? Why did I put those limitations on myself? That it's only reading if I read like I used to? No, that doesn't matter. Right now, you just do whatever you can do, and that's good. And you take a little bit more, and that's good. But don't put the limitations on yourself. And then as you start Like once you're out of the hole where you feel like you've got some momentum and you're going and you're moving a little bit, that's when you have to start dreaming a little bit bigger. Because at first it was get out of the hole, and that was good enough because you didn't do that yet. So then once you get there, now you need to revise the what the next steps are. You need to kind of go, oh, okay, so like where am I going now? Like, what's the next part of this? Where do I want to be ultimately, and how can I break this up into chunks? If what you're looking for is being in a relationship, it starts with breaking down your relationship barriers and the things that you need to work on. And there's no time frame on that. And then it ends with you starting to get out there and socialize more. And there's no time frame on that. You can't define that. So when you're thinking about abundance, you have to think about what it's like to not have expectations or potential or limitations, and that having just endless potential, anything could happen. And so it really, like, once you get comfortable with the day-to-day version of it, that's where you can push beyond that. And in this card specifically, the abundance card, it's pushing into this much bigger concept of manifesting by being able to recognize that you are your only limitation to what you can have or what you can do. It's only what you think that you can't accomplish. So anyway, I did do a little bit of shuffling, so if anybody's looking for any card draws, I'll continue to mess around with it. It really is nice though to not have my phone doing the thing. Phone's not doing the thing. But yeah, super cool. If anybody is looking to get I'm just clearing all these notifications here. It's a little wild. So yeah, I don't know if anybody has anything they want me to read on specifically. I'll pull a card or two on your I don't know how to say that. So no. Are they still here? Still here? I don't see them here. Anybody else, feel free to. I don't see them here, but if they pop back in, I will read for them. But if anybody else wants me to draw a card, because I'll just draw random cards and talk about them. I don't care. That's what I do anyway. Well, they might be. It's not showing them, so maybe it's just showing them. So, I don't know. I'll watch for them to say something. Benna, that's up to you. I mean, I can always do something specific for you at another time as well, if you would like me to address something that you feel like you want directly addressed. Definitely can do something with that, but otherwise I can pull a few cards and we can see what happens. You never know. Oh, hi, Virgil. It's nice to see you joining us. Oh, It's been a week. It's been a week. Yeah, we'll address whatever specifically you want to talk about, Benna, and then I have a few readings to do to catch up, but then I could possibly do one tomorrow or something, or later in the week for you. So, whenever that works out. And I'll try to focus directly on your issue. I'm so glad I got this chair and that I can just swivel in it a little bit, because typically speaking, I would be bouncing my knee under my desk, and I noticed that just makes everything on my desk jiggle. So I was having a heck of a time trying to figure out how I was gonna handle that fidgety, but turns out having a swivel chair is more than enough for me. But yeah, Virgil, if you would like any cards pulled, you don't have to talk about what you think it associates with or what it is that you're thinking that you'd like to hear from the cards. You can just think about it, and then I'll talk about what I'm feeling from the card, and hopefully it will resonate. If you're looking for something a little bit more personal, I can also do that for you, and I can and give you an audio recording privately. For sure. Oh yeah, Hallie, I have my exercise ball, my yoga ball. I sit on it a lot at my desk because it allows me to do balance exercises while I'm reading and making content and editing videos and stuff, whatever it is that I happen to be doing. And when I'm doing tarot readings and I'm talking, it's better, right? I do my best. Oh, you're going through it too? It's so much. The full moon is drudging up some old stuff okay. So yeah, drudging up some old relationship stuff. There's, sometimes we find that there was wounds that were not quite healed, and then when we go through a similar situation with a new relationship, we find that there was some stuff there that maybe had been healed from before, and that it makes it extra hurties. Yeah, you'll be okay, but that doesn't mean that it's not a struggle to feel all those feels. So many feels. Definitely have room to let go of those feelings and whatever may be, coming up along with it. See, this theme keeps coming up tonight with the beginner mind. Beginner mind is all about recognizing when it's time to look at stuff differently and to think about things differently, and realizing that the way that you've been doing things are just not working for you anymore. Because as I was talking about just a little bit ago with that, change is constant, and there's a station to station. We're going to be happy for periods of time, and then we're not going to be happy, and we cannot just stay there. That station is no longer for us. We now need to move to the next station. And the process of doing so feels good, and then getting there feels really good. And when it doesn't feel good anymore, it's time to move again. We are creatures of change. We are supposed to naturally be moving, growing, lessons. That's a constant part of our life. So beginner mind should be an important part of our healing, where we are able to, and one of the things, like as an example, let's look at something differently in the breakup than we might have before, where maybe you can take something that is hurtful about it and then try to find some aspect that you can identify that was positive, and give yourself the balance of that, balance that energy out so that you can let it go and go, this wasn't great. And don't make it all one-sided where it's just you versus the other person, or just the other person, or just you. um, you know, I came into this with this person taught me this, they came into it with this, I taught them this. And it takes a while. It's not something that you're going to do immediately. It's not something that you should be like staying up at night trying to figure out. But later on, as these things pop in your head, yes, staying nice to yourself, as that negative anxiety fear trains like choo choo, you're like, oh god, it's coming. You're just gonna kind of derail, get around it in some way. And one of the exercises, one of the tools that I've learned that works really good for me for the breakup is to balance the energies for it. And and like in a case where Ben is talking about, they've ravaged like some of the tangible things in your life. Look at it from a perspective of what you personally learned from the situation. That pig's mind, use your mind wisely, that came up earlier today, that's what that's about. You've been through this, and you know what doesn't work, and in some cases you might know what works. You know what's important, you know how to move past the next thing. So you have to utilize it. You can't just be like, well, yeah, I know that I have to do that. It's like you have to actually do the work. Sometimes writing it down helps. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the situation if you're leaving an abusive or toxic situation. That's very different. You don't have to write down nice things about your abuser. Sometimes it takes time for you to realize that that could have been the case, or perhaps they had been predatory in some way. Of course, give your time and space to deal with that. Don't, try to rationalize or justify anything along those lines. If you feel as though you were helpless or weak in any aspect of the relationship, there was a power dynamic there. And so that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about abundance mindset and porcupine mind and things of that nature. But a porcupine mind in this situation could be applied by saying, okay, now that I've identified what this situation was, what am I going to do differently to steer myself away from these problems in the future? Okay, well, perhaps that would be getting therapy, or perhaps that is you have particular habits with the way that you get involved with people, or you look for a specific type of person. You tend to have the same conversations with people before you get involved with them. That is definitely a sign that you're just kind of working that familiarity angle. You want a relationship that's going to push you, but it's got to feel good when they push you. Like if it feels bad when they push you, that's not the right kind of push. That's manipulation. You want to feel pushed through inspiration, not manipulation. So yeah, the abuse. I'm very after many years of my being free of my main abusers, I have a strong feeling of it's a forgiveness, not for what they did to me, but a forgiveness to myself for everything that occurred, and not blaming myself, and not harping on myself, and treating myself as though I could have like stopped it, or identified it sooner, or improved upon it, or left easier, or whatever. I was just constantly brutalizing myself for what I didn't do enough of. And that's, the beginner mind is learning to look at these things in a different perspective, and being able to say, like, I don't have to repeat these cycles. But if I don't put myself in a different position, if I don't angle myself differently, I'm not going to really see the choices here. I'm only going to be making decisions based on what I'm experiencing what I have experienced and what I think I see in front of me. Not you're cutting out all the potential there. Oops. Bloop, bloop. Oh yeah. So, anyways, anyone? Because I'll just keep drawing. The Hierophant keeps coming up this week. We're doing a lot of seeking answers, and a lot of that's going to have to do with forgiveness of the self and letting go of situations that are, oh yeah, I don't like ping pong. I can't do that. I feel a good balance is, where you've got a unity when there's the riding high, and if the riding is low, that there's just kind of a natural draw apart rather than dragging each other down. And then you've got the ones that they're like this, and so it's just this constant love-hate, we're on, we're off, back and forth with these people. People that are friends with the couple together go nuts because they never know who they're supporting, or it's and then the next thing you know, they're back together and they're fine. That to me is exhausting. I don't understand. To me, it's if cheer me on or ride along with me on my highs, and if you can't do that, that's cool. Hang out. But do not drag me down further. Do not drag me down. Yeah, no, that becomes a pattern. It becomes a pattern of going back and forth. And then you get the expectations that that's what's going to happen. So then it's here we go. And then the person's like, yeah, here we go. Because they know too. If you've ever had that argument with somebody that it starts with, it starts off and then somebody says here we go, then you already know you're both behaving from your monkey mind. You're both not taking anything you've learned into consideration. You're already there. You should be walking out right then and there. You should not be engaging in that energy, and you know damn well you're gonna but that you're not supposed to. That's where you're supposed to walk away. When you know that those patterns are repeating, you are wasting your time. I mean, you're going to gain a lesson from every single thing that occurs, and every time you do it, you're going to learn a little bit more, you're going to get a little bit better at it, but at some point you do have to take a little bit of responsibility for the choices that you're making, and are you literally putting yourself back into that? People will engage with it and then keep staying in the relationship. That's the heck are you doing? Why? It's because they're afraid of being alone. Everybody's afraid of being alone. People that do this, it's codependency, and people will deny it over and over again. I hate to admit that I'm codependent, but I am. I mean, it's not that I don't actively work against it, but it's something that's come up repeatedly in my past therapy sessions, and it's just something that I have abandonment issues, I have neglect issues from feeling as though I was not enough, and if I wasn't doing something to impress or somebody, then they were going to move on and start giving their attention to somebody else. And so I need constant validation that I am enough for someone, and that's something that I have to work on constantly. I literally go into relationships now okay, I have this thing sometimes, and I need you to simply check me and say, I need you to stop putting words in my mouth or whatever, whatever that situation may be. But it's once you identify them You're able to work into the reasons behind them, and then the further into it you get, the more you start to break into this, like, this is why I do this, and then you can break out of that pattern. So for me, realizing that I like the broken men because they need me, and then when they don't need me anymore, I panic and I ruin it. I become neurotic, and because they don't need me anymore, and then because I want them to need me again. And then realizing that that cycle is my insecurities, and that's not actually what I want to make me happy at all. That will not actually make me happy. What will make me happy is somebody who doesn't need me, but someone who is capable of doing the work themselves and simply appreciates my encouragement, you know, just because, for the sake of it, not because they need that either. And vice versa. I want to do the work myself. I don't want somebody to do it for me. I don't want a dad. So far, it's 0 for 2. So, not doing real good in that department. I don't want one of those. I want to do it myself. I want somebody who believes in me and knows that I have the ability to do it myself, but is there to encourage me and to, if I feel like I need it, if I get that doubt. Yeah, the I'm worthless. Like, I have a great deal of feeling for these people because I know what that feels like. I have a great deal of empathy for them. But I can't be in that relationship with that person. I can't personally be in a personal relationship with that person. I will work with that person as a client. I will help that person the best that I can. I will give that person the reassurance that they need. But no, I cannot be in a relationship with somebody who feels they are worthless. They have to not only know that they are worthy, but be actively working at getting the best out of life, because that is what I do, and that's what I want, and that's what makes me happy, and I want to see somebody else doing what makes them happy. So whatever that is, whatever their process is of station to station, like, I'm on mine and they're on theirs, and occasionally I want to meet up at stations and, like, have a lovely date, and I want them to have their own life. I want them to have their own goals and ambitions that don't necessarily speak to me. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, too. Oh yeah, no, that's the other way. Yeah, no, that's straight up toxic. You can get the fuck out of here with that. I am absolutely worthy. You are absolutely worthy. Don't tell me I'm not worthy. Like, that person's got to go. That's toxic. I had, some red flags with my major abusive relationship, the one that I reference the most because it was the longest lasting and the most influential. Immediately after our first time being intimate, his comment to me was that I didn't look as bad as he thought I would. And I instantly burst into tears, first of all, because I was already feeling so self-conscious. And then, you've just been intimate with somebody that you think cares about you. And you get up and you're now exposed and vulnerable, and they make this comment that makes you think, like, what did you think I was? What? It was just so absolutely, like, at the time I was numbed by it. I really didn't have a reaction or a thought about it. And it wasn't until later that it occurred to me that, like, I didn't have any concept of what I deserved to be treated like. I had none. This was acceptable to me at that time, because he said, well, I didn't say it was awful. I just said it was better than I expected. And I'm like, but you even had that thought. I just didn't have this idea of like what my worth really was. That's what that skunk spirit card is. Know your own worth. What do you deserve? Like, do you deserve somebody who instantly comes into the situation with that negative train just barreling down and throwing out these fears and anxieties and insecurities at you every chance they get? Like, that is an immediate red flag. Oh, he's still alive. Thankfully, the state now acknowledges that he's dangerous and we don't have to associate with him. But no, I didn't. I dated him and then I had a baby. I had such low self-esteem at that time. There's a lot of things that he said to me back then that I should have been like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you with this creep? This guy is a piece of shit. And yeah, no, he's still talking shit about me, I'm sure. But can you even imagine like trying to like lose weight and like control your diet and exercise and stuff after that? Like, it was impossible. It was impossible to work on that stuff. It wasn't until I was away from him for a very long time that I was able to really get in control of my thoughts about food and my relationship with him. And then only now am I actually getting like a handle on it. But that really that set me. I was already on a wrong path, and that made it way worse. Because then at that point, I just felt disgusting. You know, felt so disgusted. I was just like, oh, so apparently I just walk around looking gross, and then like, but when I'm naked, I look better. I'm like, then I think about it, I'm like, isn't that when I started making smut? It wasn't long after that. That's when I started. So then I had, about 9 months later, I was pregnant, and after I had a kid, and it was like, yeah, I wonder if that idea that like I look better with my clothes off came from that. Like, that was where I got my self-esteem from at the time. And not that I have any issues. Like, sex work saved me and my child and fed us many times, and I very much like it. But that's also a big component in why I'm no longer actively promoting it. I decided to take a step back. I have just my one ManyVid site with content that I've actually cleaned up too. I removed a bunch of content from it as well. I removed all the other promotional sites that were connected to it, and I am obliterating a persona that I've held onto for about 17 years now. Like I said, it fed everything, but I started to realize that I was using it as a crutch for my own self-worth, and that then when I couldn't create the content for the site, I was using that as punishment for my self-worth. Like, oh, you can't even be a fat smut maker. Like, what's wrong with you? You can't even make that. Like, what? So it was really, it was problematic. It was also really limiting to me in terms of getting involved in a relationship, because you can't believe what anybody says about you physically, because it's been propped up by this sex work, which definitely twists your self-esteem a little bit, and you start to feel a little bit like you're just a body, like you're a human vessel, and that's it. It's just being used for something, for somebody to release themselves. Like, that's all you're good for. And I was like, that's not what it started for me. It started for me as something that was empowering. It started for me as something that felt really good, because I was able to control my lifestyle. I was getting constant attention. I was feeling validated in just about anything, because men that want to see you naked will tell you whatever you want to hear. But it did for me something that at the time that I didn't have, and so it did play its role. And when it got to the point where it no longer felt empowering to me, it started to feel limiting to me. That's where I started to realize that, like, maybe it's time for me to retire that aspect. And then, of course, being on the health journey and losing all this weight is really a big deal for me to get a chance to start over if I can, and try to separate myself from a part of me that's no longer representative of who I am and what I spend my time doing, and instead empower myself in other ways, like coming on my Twitch channel and talking about what I know and what I've experienced, and hopefully giving someone the opportunity to learn or gain something or grow from that in some way. So yeah, I think all things are good when they serve their purpose, and then when they no longer serve their purpose, it's time to move beyond them. And so my big release was some of these blocks to having a happy, healthy relationship that I have been limiting myself from for many, many years. And since I've been a mom, my entire parenting experience was traumatic. So it was all based on trauma. So I realized that I actually, I think I might even got my tubes tied simply because of that. But deal with that if it ever comes to it. Probably not, but we'll see. But yeah, it just no longer giving me the satisfaction that it did. It no longer feels empowering. Now it feels burdening. And I feel as though it's just something that wasn't giving me what I need anymore. It's not what I need anymore. I don't need physical validation. I need intimacy and emotional validation. I need intellect. I need mutual aspirations and goals. That's what excites me now. So, and then plus it really takes away the intimacy. Sex becomes a job, and it just really takes away the desire to want to just be sexy and have sex for the sake of it. And so then I had no interest or desire or push, and men would be interested in me, and I'd just be like, I don't know. It's really, it can cause some difficulties. And not to say that there aren't couples that can't work through it and don't do a good job working through it. I'm not one of those people. I was not doing a good job doing that. So yeah, I've been pulling back my adult content production. I've been doing more consulting with that more than anything, and thank you. And yeah, people know I'm streaming and texting me. But yeah, coming to terms with the changes that I needed to make there anyway, and getting rid of these crutches that I've been using. It's very easy to feel good about yourself when you have 30 men a day who message you and tell you that you are a goddess. And that is not reality. That's not what the world is like. And I don't want the crutch anymore. I really want the real, true, relevant, earned compliments. I want compliments that are deeply, from deeply observant people. And thank you. Yeah, this has been one of the big releases of blockage. That's why I was talking about the reading. I'm that's what it did for me today. I mentioned last night that I was going to trip today, and this is what I've been thinking about all day. This is the stuff that I've been working through in my own mind, what my real blockages are for why I'm actually terrified to get into a relationship. Because I came to terms with that because I was just hating myself for never articulating my feelings or acting on them. And I was just why do I do that to myself? And I had to really acknowledge it. And it was just you don't, because you know damn well you can't handle it. You just can't handle it. And you can't handle it because there's these insecurities that you have, and they're propped up by this method that you have come to use as being your prop. And so, in order for you to break this cycle, you have to stop doing what's easy. You have to stop accepting these compliments from these hungry, thirsty men that just want your attention, and instead actually put yourself in a position where you just have to be your authentic self. And you're going to be like a normal person who doesn't get compliments every single day about how amazing and beautiful and perfect you are. Like, be a real human being, because that constant dopamine surge is what dulls out my senses. And I needed to separate myself from that, so that when somebody says, you know, you're beautiful, that I feel beautiful from it. I don't feel like they're just saying it. I want somebody that I have feelings for to be able to say those words to me and mean something to me. And right now it doesn't. So yeah, the trip, I imagine I probably will, like, if not tomorrow, then I probably will on Wednesday, because I know that I don't have the baby on that day. But today just didn't feel right, and everything was just coming to my brain. Yeah, IG, the studies on IG and the likes, that was another thing that made me start thinking about that. And I was just like, you know, it's not just the social media. That's why it's not good enough that you're just separating yourself from the social media, Nikki. You need to separate yourself from this whole persona that you've allowed to become who you are, and allowed that's what your self-esteem hinges on, is this character role that isn't quite you. And it doesn't feel authentic anymore, and it doesn't serve my purpose anymore. Instead, I want to be authentically me, and I want to feel the efforts that I put in. I want to be able to feel the disappointment when I don't. I want, when somebody says that, you know, they yeah, it is really peaceful, because it's just, I don't know, you know, that there's nothing else that they want, and it feels very cheap. It just feels really cheap, but at the same time, that's also like the easy stuff, because you don't have to do any work to have any real connection there. A real relationship requires you to be vulnerable. It requires you to open up your heart and tell somebody that you care, and know that they might not feel the same way back, and know that you might not be perfect, and there's effort involved. And that stuff is hard, and we know that, and we know it's hard, and we know that we've done it. And have a heart. You have to start by giving a shit. Erica's like, oh, I'm out. I don't give a shit. I really would, but that was the thing, is like, that's where I was for a long time, and I haven't actually like dated somebody, like, been in a relationship in like a decade. So it's long past time. I needed to figure this out for me. It doesn't mean that everybody's at this stage in their life, but for me, I had to be single for a very long time, and then I had to come to terms with a lot of things that I was doing, and I was ignoring the fact that I had a whole persona in mind of like an entirely different person that I was like pretending wasn't me. It's fucking you, alright? It's like, no, I'm sub. No, you're not really sub. I mean, I am, but I'm not. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Persephone Dark Knight is just as much a part of who I am. It always has been and always will be, as was Luscious Raspberry. They're just components of who I am that I was afraid to actually express, because I was worried about how people would respond to it. And I've just gotten to the point now where I just feel really good about who I am and what I'm doing, and I do it on my own. I don't have any help from, you know, it's like, it's not like I have some business that supports me, you know, props me up in some spoiled way. And not to say that I don't have businesses that support me, but they're certainly not like Fortune 500 companies that are making life easy. you know, we're all pushing for each other, so that's why it works. But getting to that point where I can not be afraid of, like, none of the people that I work for have issue with the fact that I have this content out here. I don't know if there's going to be any more content beyond this, because as my body changes, I feel better, I feel sexier, but I also feel less desire to show it. Does that make sense? Like, I only want to show it to, like, somebody special, and, like, just for them, and not. It's weird. I've never felt that way before. I've always been very body out, you know, and probably not gonna be. My phone just told me to go to bed. I'm not, you know, not gonna all of a sudden start dressing super conservatively or anything, but talking about, like, the smut content, you know, like, maybe I don't want that out there anymore. And not that I even think I can take it back. It's just that doesn't matter to me as much as I'm just not sharing it anymore. And I've done a pretty good job of controlling my outlets, and I know who my clients are, the people that got access to stuff and downloaded it. There's pretty much probably no one in my local circle that doesn't know. And if they don't, I don't care. But that's the thing, is I had to get myself to the point where it didn't matter. And so, you know, now I can be the person that works in various aspects of sex work and talks about it, and you know, yeah, I try to be, I don't know where I was gonna go with that, so never mind. If I can't see a connection to what we're talking about, I'm gonna try to, yeah, it's now I'm looking for the the lurkers are the creepy ones. I had to be very careful with that, because I would get people that were like I had one guy that was friends with my brother. He lived behind us growing up, and he knew my brother, and yeah, he was scoping out my stuff, and that was creepy to find out that he was doing that. I was like, oh, that's why he kept coming into the tattoo shop at the time and asking about tattoos he never got. Yeah, being a consultant, that's one of my favorite things to do, is actually to share my experiences and knowledge, and I want to help people have better sex lives and better relationships, and whatever kind they are. Like, I want them to be able to enjoy their life more fully, and I think there's a lot, there's always lurkers. Being all lurky. They're alright. They don't gotta talk, they're just listening. Just listening. As long as they're not, you know. I believe me, any lurkers on Twitch are a lot better than the lurkers you get on a ManyVids live stream. I'll be sitting on there talking about something completely, like, about, like, relationship oriented or something. It's just like, take off your shirt. Like, yeah, you know, the one thing that I've learned through all of this, because safety and security in that world is not really existent, I feel much safer just being prepared. Self-defense classes, carry weapons, know how to use them, understand security systems, try to keep your devices secure, and other than that, being, it shows the chat room. Everybody who's hung out in here before, I believe, I don't think anybody's actually new. I know who most of the people are, so that's cool with me. I'm cool with that. They can hang out and watch. They're listening. Yeah, it really is. It's the vulnerability. But to me, I don't feel vulnerable when I take proactive actions. When I learned how to shoot, that to me all of a sudden took away a number of points from anyone trying to make me a victim. When I learned to hold and use and throw different blades, I took away a few of those little notches of feeling like a victim. You can lurk all you want. Yeah, I just stopped feeling, I still do have stalkers, and I used to have some that are a little bit more aggressive. I'll tell you just a few of the situations briefly because there's different ways that they turn out. I've had situations where the stalkers turned out to be absolutely harmless people who just didn't understand boundaries. And upon explaining to them how they were making me feel unsafe, by giving them an opportunity, just giving them an opportunity to be heard. Like, I was like, look, I'm going to let you tell me because you've walked by my work. You keep showing up. You keep trying to message me. I'm not responding. It's making me uncomfortable. What is it that you're hoping for here? Like, what is it that you're... Well, I really like you and I want to get to know you and I want to date you. Okay. And I really appreciate that and I'm very flattered by that, but this is not something that I personally have interest in. I appreciate your interest. You seem very nice, but I'm just simply not interested. And this person was just like, well, I wasn't trying to make you uncomfortable. And I'm like, jar. So they and they remained, pretty sure they actually still probably follow me, at least on one or two sites. But they're just totally harmless. Now that they know where my boundaries are, everything's fine. Now, on the other hand, I had a person who I thought he was following me on the astralhealingNiki page and realized that he was also following me on my adult page. So he was coming in and he was showing up on both accounts, and the one day messaged me asking for a reading. And at the time I was just getting started in the new loft, and I was trying to get business started, and I was like, whatever, like, I need the money, I'll do this reading. Knowing that he was stalking me on the other thing didn't really make me feel uncomfortable. But there was just something about it that just didn't feel right. And so I made sure that I scheduled the appointment for when another person was there downstairs working. And then I had my gun on me and my pepper spray as well. I don't always like to draw a gun on people. But I like to have one present if I feel really insecure. Something just felt really off about it. And yeah, while I was doing the reading, he actually was like standing over me, and then every once in a while he'd just kind of like look around the room, and it looked like he was really like sizing up the place and trying to see where my boundaries were. And I pretty much just sped through the reading at that point. I was like, all right, well, I think we're done here. I'm gonna walk you out. Because he was making me very uncomfortable the way he was standing over me and looking at me. And as we were walking to the stairway for me to have him walk down, I stood to the back corner because I was gesturing to him to walk in front of me. And he stopped and looked at me and said, "You don't trust me?" And I just my blood turned cold. Because I was just like, what was he gonna do at that moment? And I just all of a sudden I heard Julie. Thankfully I was smart enough to make sure that somebody else was there, And she's like, hey, glad you made it, or something. Like, she was like, I don't know if she was actually talking to someone on the phone or if she was just pretending she was, but she was just basically making him aware that someone was there and that I was not alone. And he, at that moment, took a few steps, looked back, and said, well, that's too bad, and then, like, proceeded to walk out, and left. And I blocked him from everything. And yeah, so for me, you know, I've dealt with both the scary stalkers and the ones that are a lot more harmless, that are just, you know, boundary crossers, stands, if you will. Just a little bit of boundary crossers, but they're safe people. He's the first example was a very genuinely nice person. The second person, I think, probably was gonna rape and kill me or something. It was very uncomfortable. But yeah, so I've always, you know, been in that kind of vulnerable position where I don't really know who's watching me or who knows where I am, or etc. But I'm well versed in keeping myself safe, and I have a dog that would definitely fight for me, and then I just think the best of people, and I hope that they have the best of intentions. And I've noticed that when I use my my grounding and my shielding techniques, that sometimes I will end up finding out about people or learning about people. I actually had this happen where I was about to go and meet up with somebody. It seemed genuine. It was just like a casual meetup before deciding we were dating. Yeah, coffee shops, things like that. Anywhere. So like this was a similar situation where I was wanting to like meet up with a person and kind of vibe them out and see how it was, and not to be outsmarted. Even I always leave my there's an app I have on my phone that I can leave. It's an emergency button, because I used to meet clients for sessions, and I would sometimes, you know, I would meet them in public first, but like anybody can pull off a public meeting. That doesn't mean that they're safe. So you pull off the public meeting, and then you do the private meeting, and then I have to yeah, Bumble is the one that I recently removed my account from. There was some really uncomfortable people in there. Yeah, well, as some aspects of the job had to be done privately. I did have some clients that liked the public humiliation, like that's what they wanted. But I would like make them hand me money in person at McDonald's in an envelope, be dramatic about it, kiss my hand and stuff. But can you see like where that would fuck up your like ability to have a decent relationship? It's like I can walk into this place and you know, make this guy hand me money and tell me that I'm beautiful and perfect and kiss my hand, and then like go home to the guy who's just like, hey honey, how was your day? But honestly, like that's so sweet to me. I want that. And I can't have that because I have the guy that tells me about how my eyes look like the heavens, and he wants to save me from my wretched life or whatever his knighthood self has come up with. Anyway, I haven't even drawn any cards in a while. I'm just talking. See, that's what happens. I I just start with the cards. That's a starting point. Yeah. There's, we're all like experiencing our own things, but we're on our own journey, so it's in different ways. And I've just come to terms with some things that, like, it's like when you get to the point where everything else is good, where everything else feels really, really good, like the rest of my life has fallen into place and I'm super happy about it. And I'm like, okay, but like, what's holding you back? Sorry, I have like a hair in my cleavage. I can't help it. It itches. So it's just like what's missing? And it was just like, someone to share it with. And it's like, yeah, I don't need that. I have all these people. And it's like, they only care about you when you're naked or when you're being mean. Tell them what to do. I do like to tell people what to do. It kind of turns me on when they do it, but not when they do it right away. I like it when I have to like fight for it. I have to convince them. And then when I win and they do it, I'm like, yeah, that too, Hallie. That's a good question too. Like, and that's again with the like, did I have low self-esteem, or was I just codependent and needed, like, insecure and just needed, Yeah, they do only carry us in hands. Yeah, a lot of emotional disarray comes from not knowing what the next step in your journey is and knowing what the next thing you need to do is. And it can take a while to figure that out. So then in the meantime, you feel like that. That's why it's important not to beat up on yourself and just to show yourself that it's part of the process. And you just have to keep making that effort. You know that eventually it's going to click what you need to do. Or the opportunity is going to show up. The idea is going to show up in your head and you're going to figure it out. Sometimes you just need to continue to tell yourself that one thing. You don't need to tell yourself more than that to manifest. I think there's this like misgiving that like manifesting is all about being super, super specific all the time, and it's not. Sometimes it's just as simple as when you have those moments where things feel really good and you feel like things are okay and they're just stable, think about how much you enjoy that and feel that and just kind of embrace that for just a few moments and tell yourself that more of that's coming and continue to do that. And it honestly reminding you, if nothing else, just reminding you that the way that you're feeling right now is very temporary and it's not going to last forever. But it does help you with clarity because you're looking for something different. When you're telling yourself that you know this is ending, that your better times are right here, better times are coming, better times are coming, you're looking for the possibility and the potential in that rather than looking for the next thing that's not working out. Yeah, that's really interesting to me. I've observed that a lot of times with clients, friends, family, etc. If I say something that they really don't like, or it really hurts them in some way, they will back off immediately. Sometimes even get very defensive, and I just learned not to take that personally. And I often will tell people, like, I understand if that hurt you or that bothers you, and it's okay if you're mad at me for saying that. That's fine. Like, I'm not, for the first time in my life, somebody actually responded back and said that doesn't, like, just because I'm not responding doesn't mean that I like you less. And like, I cried a lot about that because I realized that most of my life is doing that and not having that reassurance. Yeah, they reject it, but then later they come to it on their own, killing it, doing their thing exactly the way they should be doing it, and you had nothing to do with it. But I like being the catalyst for people. I like knowing where that button is that's going to get them started. And if I can do that for someone, and even if it means that means that I'm not going to have their company or they're cheering me on for that time frame while they get that started, that's what I'm going to do. So I do that a lot. I'm that friend. I'm the friend that pokes people in the button, and then they go, I was so mad at you when you said that. Currently, one of my best friends is in a relationship that's, God, it's so toxic, and she says she's happy, and I don't think she is, but it's not my place to make that decision because I don't live that life. And I can't show her an alternative, so like I can't, argue with that. But sometimes I just make the statements that I want her to think about and consider so that she's making decisions for the betterment of her long-term life and not for whatever's convenient for him. And I'm pretty sure that she hates me for every time I do it. But it's the truth, though, because the person's, you just get used to being that. It's not that it's necessarily, it's not that it's necessarily all bad, because they do have their good experiences and their laughter and stuff. It's just that when you're immersed in it, when the person is just negative, yeah, that is how you survive. And he's just a negative person, and so the way he talks is negative, and she's just used to it and just feels like that's just how she is now. But she doesn't remember that it's not how she used to be. In fact, she was the person that came to me, and she actually didn't really come to me. She just kind of made a comment about how the fact that at the time the guy that was abusing me, that you don't look as bad as I thought you were gonna look, guy. She was telling me that he was a real fucking drag and she didn't want him around anymore, and I kept bringing him around and she didn't want that, so she stopped answering the phone when I called. And now I'm like, so should I stop answering the phone for you? But she doesn't come over my house anyway, so. Yeah, kids make things complicated. And that's the thing, is there's always complications. If anybody wants any readings, I am on here longer than I thought I was going to be. I will pull a few cards if somebody just wants to see what they have to say. If not, I will be on tomorrow night. And tomorrow night is a little bit more structured with some of the things I want to talk about. I will not ramble off about sex work and my weird relationship and all the other things that come up when I'm talking. Yeah, my mom blamed us for that. She told us the same thing, but then she told us it was our fault, basically. But then my dad actually died. They almost did get a divorce, and then they got back together, and then he died of the aneurysm shortly after. So she makes it out went from he was terrible to he was the best. It's very funny. Come on out, lurkers. So yeah, this is my last call. I'm gonna stay on for only a few more minutes. If you want to have me draw anything at all for you, you do not have to tell me what they're about. You just have to say that you want a card. Right. Yeah, that's a big one. I have forgiven my mom. I've also realized that she's not Yeah, see, my mom's perfectly okay with not talking to me. That's actually like, I think she would rather that I did, but not if it means that she has to be uncomfortable, and that means she would have to tell my brother that he's wrong, and she's not going to do that. So I've just kind of forgiven her that she's in this position. She doesn't know how to get out of it. Um, I don't really have any solutions for her. It's up to her whether or not she wants to do it. I'm not going to feel bad about it or make myself feel bad about it. I'm tired of trying to seek approval from other people. I'm just tired of it. I've been doing it my whole life, and it's the problem with my self-esteem is that I've been dependent on what other people feel about me and think about me for too long. And the more that I become in tune with myself and feel stronger about myself, the better relationships that I'm having with people. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm just not going to stop that. Oh, yeah, no, please don't let me get started on how much my mother underestimates my thinking skills, period. It's rough being brainy in a non-brainy family. That's all I'll say. It's rough being the brainy one. I definitely, you know, had my times with trying not to delve back into that particular pit of mud. Y'all know how fun that can get. Checking through. But yeah, yeah, my mom still thinks I'm 12, and I just like, whatever, I'm over it. I can't keep arguing that fact with somebody who's just unwilling to see it. I just can't keep having that argument. If I have to keep saying it, like, it's just, I know, and I know people are like, oh, well, maybe, you have to say it because you're acting that way. No, it's not. I have not acted like I'm 12 since I was 10 because I was too busy being a perfect, adult at 10 years old for my mother because I was perfect and I had to be perfect. She always claims that she never thought that way, but anytime I wasn't, she was so disappointed. I felt like that was the real thing. So, again, with my self-esteem hinging on what other people think of me, that's why I have to break from that. It's just another drug. Approval from other people is another drug. It can be really dangerous. And as soon as you become more in tune with you and the values that you have and why other people genuinely value you, then you get a stronger sense of self, and it's like a real sense of self that cannot be taken from you, regardless of what people happen to think about me in one particular situation. They don't know me, and they don't know my story, and they don't know where I come from, but the people that do, and the people that have taken that time, genuinely value me, and I'm able to see that and recognize that, and that is fulfilling. And I don't need that fake shit, and I don't need the excess of it. I just need that little tiny bit of that genuine stuff that really feels good. The genuine stuff, the real stuff, the good stuff, the juice. So yeah, anyone, any cards? You just have to say, please pull a card for me. And that's, I'll pull a couple cards and talk, and then when I'm done talking, I'm done. I just do it by feel. It's blind reading, it's cold reading, whatever you want to call it. This is how I do most of them. If I've never met the person, doesn't matter. Also, I tell people a lot of time, sometimes what you tell me you want to hear about in the cards is not going to be what you're going to hear about in the cards. The cards are going to tell you what's important to you actually getting to a point where you're happy and fulfilled. If you're at that point, it will give you like some other information to benefit from it beyond that. But generally speaking, it's going to tell you what you need to get through that point, and not necessarily speak on to get to where you want to go, but following the advice of the cards generally leads you to the next step, which might be that. It's actually good. But yeah, I think I'll wrap it up so I can get some sleep. Thankfully, I do not have to get up early and do the thing. And the advice of the evening, ladies and gentlemen and friends, do the thing. Especially and you know what? Don't do the same thing Quit doing the same thing. Do the thing that it's hard and you know is the right thing to do. I try to be a good channeler. I was tempted to get out the Ouija board. I'm not sure how that would go over streaming. So I'm going to mess with that a little bit first and see how that goes. Yes, or wait to do the thing when it's the right time to do the thing. Strategically. We are self-help gurus. We should write a book. It's just going to say, do the thing when it's the right time and do a good job at it. You know? Why not? Uh-oh. Hey, I'll take it. To have some ideas. I do, Anyway. We literally do have lurks. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. I'm gonna do, nobody's gonna do any. I'm gonna go ahead and sign out for tonight. I want to take some time to chill, and I have to finish some. Yeah, don't overwater your plants either. But give them a little bit of water when they need some. Just a little tending. Maybe do a little weeding. Gently. A little bit of tending. Just don't overdo it. But yeah. Oh, word. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow night and talking about whatever probably comes up, because who knows what I'll start talking about at this point. Good night, Hallie and Benna and Erica. Much love to you and everyone else who was here this evening who has not been speaking. I still see that you're here, and much love to you. Thank you for joining. I hope that you were able to gain some insight from anything that we've talked about tonight, and if there's anything that you'd like me specifically to talk about at any point, or if you'd like a direct reading, you just reach out to me in whatever way. Good night, lurkers. And we love you too. And just please don't try to trap me in a stairwell. I will push you down first. So see, that's how I laugh about it now. But I'm always open to suggestions and personal readings, but please do join me, because I like to feed off of the chat. It makes it more fun. Yay! Thank you. Much love to you guys. Good night. Get some rest. Tomorrow is Sunday. We're going to prepare for a beautiful week. It's going to be excellent. I will talk to you tomorrow.